Houston Texans 22, Denver Broncos 17. Texans, again, one of those 7-5 teams. 8 seed right now, though. Broncos fall to 6-6. Obviously, a huge game with playoff implications.
It's okay because they're going to get in when we get rid of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we'll switch them in for the Steelers.
Denver gets in
for the QB injury. Now,
Denver's Alabama in this scenario.
Denver?
Yeah.
No, Houston's Alabama.
Houston's Alabama.
Houston's Alabama.
Houston's the 8 seed.
Because we want to see C.J. Stroud in Houston. We'd rather see them.
They're the 8 seed.
The line would be, they're the 8 seed as of right now.
Gotcha.
And they're going to jump up to the 5 seed.
Right, so Houston is Alabama.
Correct.
Got it.
Because it's going to be, the Vegas line would be better if it was Houston playing against the Chiefs. Yeah. Houston would actually have a chance against the Chiefs and the Steelers. We'd say, no way. They'd get wrecked, no matter who the QB is. Because maybe they have 2 backup QBs. Anyway, Houston wins.
They do.
Discuss. Russell Wilson. So Texans were up. Another interesting game where it felt like Houston was making some chunk plays, but they left some points on the board. They were up 16-3. Russell Wilson hits Cortland Sutton. Remember we said once a week? There's just a ridiculous throw. Russ had 4 ridiculous throws, really good throws in this game, but also had turnover-worthy plays. But he hits Cortland Sutton for a 45-yarder. Absolute
pass.
Just unbelievable pass, unbelievable catch, because Cortland Sutton had to fight through contact, defensive pass interference to make the catch. That made it 16-10. Stroud and the Texans come back, score another touchdown, miss the 2-point conversion. I have so much. Anyway, Stroud, every single time there's adversity, it seems like dude steps up, right? Broncos are making a comeback. Nope, doesn't matter. They go down and score. But the Broncos kept fighting back. They score to get within 5, and then they have a chance for the game-winning drive. And it's Russell Wilson picked off by Jimmy Ward in the end zone to seal the deal for Houston.
Yeah, great interception. They just kind of jump ball in the end zone, and Jimmy Ward gets position and makes that play. Sutton had a weird game. Like, he had that incredible touchdown catch from Russell Wilson. He also dropped a dime earlier in the game from Russ. There was that amazing, the second interception from Stingley was an insane catch on a target intended for Sutton, where he just beats him to the ball and picks it off in front of him. But it's a couple of weeks now where Sutton has dropped like a really key play in the game after going on a run of like 3 or 4 games where he'd made spectacular plays and was like the only thing functioning from a passing standpoint in this Denver offense. He still kind of is, but he's also now dropped some really critical plays over the last couple of weeks.
He has. But yeah, Russ had a couple big throws. They put Sutton inside to lead the comeback attempt. They put Sutton inside in the slot and ran him up the seam on one of the big throws that Russell Wilson made. So he did drop that first one, but he had that big play. You mentioned Derek Stingley and his interceptions. I think that's 4 in 3 games for him. He had 2 in this game. One was batted by Will Anderson. The other one was a great play that he just I don't want to say baited or whatever, but he came off his zone, made a great interception on Russell Wilson. It was one Stingley's starting to play.
Yeah, it was one of those plays where when the ball is thrown, it looks like he's beaten. And then he ends up being able to not even kind of undercut it, but just sort of take the right angle to get to the ball first and ends up undercutting it in the process. Like a really high-level cornerback play, because right up until he makes the play, it doesn't look like he's got any shot.
For Denver, again, it was just there was a lot of high-leverage plays in this one. They had a 4th and 1 conversion, Javonte Williams. They had Russell Wilson on 4th and 2. Pick it up with a scramble. But Houston just held on at the end, man. It was also a weird game. So Tank Dell gets hurt. Let's touch on that quickly, and then we'll talk about Stroud's game. But Tank Dell gets hurt on a running play, had to be carted off the field.
For a touchdown, right? Like it was on the score. And every time they showed the replay, I was trying to work out what the hell Tank Dell is doing there in the first place, because it's like a run right up the gut on the goal line. You're like, why is a 165-pound receiver in the pile to get run over in the first place? And I pulled up like the all-22, and it still took me 2 or 3 attempts to work out why he's there. He's not aligned anywhere near like the teeth of the formation. He's over on the right-hand side somewhere, and then like sort of comes in to block a safety or whatever. The safety's already getting blocked by the wide receiver that's aligned inside of him. So he just kind of keeps going, looking for work. It's actually a really great hustle play by him to kind of keep scraping inside, find a guy that needs blocking, actually do the job and taking him out, and then just gets driven over by the pile coming in behind him. Like, just such an unfortunate play for Tank Dell, who now, broken fibula or whatever, is going to miss probably the rest of the season. Just sucks for him to end the season that way. He was, had this incredible connection with CJ Stroud, but also like plays like this where 90% of wide receivers in the league are not there because they're not that bothered by the play. Like, they're not, even if they were interested in making the initial block, the second there was a guy already taking that guy, they're like, all right, I'm done. Have fun. I'll see you on the next one, but I'm out of this play. He keeps going looking for work, and that's the thing that ends up getting his leg broken.
Yeah, I mean, because again, if Houston is able to sneak into the playoffs with the way Stroud has played and developed, the way this defense is, they're probably a step above feisty, right? They're not great every single week, but they're a step above. You have a game where you see Will Anderson, their first-round picks, Will Anderson, Derek Stingley making plays. Will Anderson had a ton of pressures in this game. He's awesome against the run. Stingley continues to develop. I mean, they're the team that's going to start peaking at the right time. They've been peaking, but you lose Tank Dell. That is a big loss for this team. So I mentioned C.J. Stroud. He finishes 16 of 27 for 274. So just 16 completions. There was a few games around the league like this. Just 16 completions for 274.
Which is 10.2 per attempt.
Yeah, 10.2 yards per attempt, but that's, massive. It's like a college, 16 completions for 274 yards. Nico Collins finishes with 9 for 191. Stroud hit him with a 59-yard bomb early. But Stroud also got sacked 5 times, fumbled twice in the pocket, probably both avoidable. It did seem like Denver, it's our friend Bobby, the play caller, but it did seem like Denver did, especially in the second half, attacked pass protection really well. I don't know if they were player screw-ups or if they were simply pass protection fails, but Denver had unblocked rushers on sacks 2 or 3 times. One of them, Stroud fumbled. So Denver did a really nice job creating those negative plays. And I think that's why you look at Houston was able to create these chunk plays, but just didn't put a ton of points on the board despite those.
Yeah, I mean, so early in the game, I thought Denver were just hyper-aggressive. It was almost like, again, these sort of games where it's like you haven't seen that guy before. It's like they went in saying, young quarterback, playing really well, but let's not give him the credit for that. Let's, attack him. And they, really early, they had this, absolutely suicidal overload blitz where they're just like, we're going to send 8 and see what happens. And including the slot corner. And they didn't replace it with anything. It was one of those plays where they send the slot, and normally you see a safety roll over to try and backfill the gap left by the slot. They didn't even bother. They just let's blitz everything. And Stroud just went, well, if you've blitzed the slot corner and there's nothing replacing him, I'm just going to dink the ball right over the top to the guy in the slot, and he's going to have a free 10, 15 yards. So then Denver seemed to learn from that and go, well, okay, maybe not to let do the suicidal blitzes. In fact, given that we have a pretty useful pass rush, why don't we just rush 4 and see what happens? And that is how they started to actually get some joy from a pass rushing standpoint. Also early in the game, which ends up being arguably the key play, or one of the key plays, dropped by, I forget who it was, but Houston tight end on 3rd and 1. That ends up being the difference.
I think that was a miss. Andrew Beck?
No, I think he had that.
I thought Stroud missed it. He had the one where he's rolling left, he's open in the flat for what should have been a touchdown.
Let's find out. I don't know if it would have been a touchdown, but it would have converted.
It would have converted.
It's a 4-point.
He would have had a chance to get into the end zone. I think Stroud missed that.
Let's find out.
I thought it was an interesting game for Stroud because he hit some downfield passes. He had another red zone throw that was unbelievable, rolling right and puts it right on Nico Collins' hands, who dropped it. Second time in 4 weeks that we've seen that from Stroud. But he also missed way more throws than he usually. He has the 2 fumbles in the pocket. Stroud also missed. He had John Mechie wide open for what should have been a deep touchdown. He missed that. Stroud just missed more throws than he had been the rest of the year.
So, upon further tape review, we're both right.
It's an overthrow that could have been caught.
It's an overthrow where he needs to reach back and bat it in the air one-handed, right? Now, once he does that, no. But once he does that, it then lands in both of his hands and he conspires to drop it out of bounds. So it is both a bad throw by Stroud and a drop by Beck.
I'd call that just an overthrow.
Eventually. No, you need to see where it lands in his hands. He needs to catch that.
But only because he reached back and tipped it.
Yeah, but at this point, it's a drop. Like, at the point where this happens, he needs to catch the ball, and it needs to be a first down. Anyway, that not happening should have been a first down, and arguably a touchdown, ends up not being.
So there was – I thought, Houston missed some opportunities there. I mentioned the deep pass to Mechie. I think that would have been – I don't know how many yards, 40, 50, 60. That would have been a long touchdown.
40, 50, 60.
Yeah, it was up there. I don't remember where side of the field it was. I just wrote down the note, had a wide open Mechie for a touchdown. I remember the play. I don't remember what part of the field it was.
If the Texans make the playoffs, they will be the first team and they will be the first rookie head coach and quarterback to make the playoffs since.
Rookie head coach and quarterback. I don't know.
Andrew Luck and Chuck Pagano.
Oh, 2012.
Back in 2012.
Kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
It was like a, bit of a, the Colts were just a volatile,
crazy
team and made some comebacks, and Luck, put a lot on his shoulders, and it kind of feels like that.
And then in this week's installment of idiotic officiating calls, you had Desmond King robbed of was it a fumble six, pick six, strip six? They ripped it out of a guy's hand. They call Pirine. He ripped it out of Pirine's hands.
Yes.
And they blew the whistle for stopping forward progress. In this world where, like last night in Sunday Night Football, Chris is out here calling out how far the rolling maul has moved the play, right? We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. Meanwhile, the instant Pirine is hit by Desmond King, they blow a whistle for halting forward progress and take a touchdown off the board.
Yeah, I've said this before. I'll repeat it again. I think the problem people have with officiating, same problem I have with the college football playoff committee.
Idiocy?
No, consistency.
Oh.
It's about consistency. Like if you use certain criteria for one thing, use it for the other thing. Just so that when you see two things that look similar, that you have a similar result. This play, again, Desmond King, Pirine catches it. It's pretty quick. Like it's pretty bang bang.
It was
like,
instant.
It was close enough that in your mind you're like, well, in today's NFL, is that incomplete? It wasn't, but it was like that close, wasn't it? It was that close that it at least crosses your mind in today's NFL. But this play reminded me of the Germany game, Chiefs-Dolphins, the play that ended up deciding the game, where Tyreek Hill gets stopped on a screen, gets pushed back a little bit, and then stripped for a fumble six. It was very little difference from that play. Those are the things that I think at least frustrate me when I see that play and the King Pirine play, and I'm like, those look exactly the same. It's either forward progress is stopped or it's a fumble, and it should be the same in both. And I think those are the frustrating things. And I know people get frustrated with PFF in our grading, and we have more time than the officials to kind of get things right. But we do that a lot. We're like, here's this play. How did we grade it previously? Right? Here's this 15-yard deep out between in cover against cover two, whatever it is. And you can go back and search all the 15-yard deep outs against cover two and see if there's consistency there. I know the refs don't necessarily have that time like we do, but that's like we focus on, if you see it one way, try to have the same result when something similar happens. And this was just completely different from what we've seen in the NFL. It should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, so it was so early, the whistle that was blown, that it wasn't even conclusive that the play was over. I mean, forget the fumble part of it. It wasn't even conclusive that Pirine was tackled at that point. Like, in fact, he was on his way to shucking off the hit by Desmond King and kind of does so. Like, he actually gets rid of him. It's just that in the process of getting rid of him, he loses the ball and King is able to scoop the ball and go. But, like, you can't be in this world where the NFL is effectively extending the lifespan of plays at the moment because we're in a world where you can now push a guy from behind and keep the thing alive. So you cannot, like, an early whistle for forward progress being halted is completely inexcusable in today's world of football because so many of these plays now exist beyond that point. To accidentally halt a play when it's not even clear that the one-on-one tackle is being made, let alone that there's a fumble at the end of it, is a genuinely egregious call. And in this world of guys are getting fined 5 figures for making mistakes on the football field, this is the kind of call where whoever blew that whistle should be fined. Like, officials should be held accountable for this kind of mistake, because that is a potentially game-changing error by an official, and there's no excuse for it.
I think the only accountability they have is they don't get the big games. They don't get
right.
playoff paychecks or whatever
cares?
It might be.
Like, that's a pathetic consequence relative to the mistakes other people get.
Yeah, so this was...
Poor old Dom's going to get himself suspended.
I can't wait till we break down Dom. You have any more use for this game? It's a great game. This was a fun game. Texans got up 17-3. Broncos, they find out, what do they have, a 5-game winning streak? 5-game winning streak halted. And they fought back, though. It was close. Again, Russ made some big-time throws, had a couple turnover-worthy plays in there, including the game clincher. Nice job by Jimmy Ward. And that, to me, sums up... I'm impressed with Houston's defense. I also remember a couple weeks ago they went all-out blitz. Was against the Saints, or a couple times, all-out blitz to win the game.
Yep.
In crunch time. They didn't do that in this game. They trusted their front four. They can win in different ways, kind of forced Russ into that forced pass late and picked it off. They've got some playmakers on that side of the ball. So, yeah, man, credit Houston. I love what they've done there. Both sides of the ball, D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio, right, for all the criticism that we gave him for 3 years, just kind of treading water, because they have the foundation now, right? Because they have the quarterback, they're far more competitive than they have been the last couple of years.
Yep. Just a real shame they lost Tank Dell.
Yeah, we're all sad about Tank.